Hello class, this is Mr. Ferris. In this last video for the Aftermath ad project in Photoshop, I'm just going to show you some basics of how to move your files around in the panel and how to stack these in order to get the desired effect. Now, if you look at your layers palette in detail, and I'm actually going to drag mine out over here so we can take a closer look at it. You can see that we have a couple different things. We have layers, channels, and paths. Right now we're just going to focus on layers, and here you can see I have my logos layer, my lighting layer, my skyline layer, my storm layer, and it's all jumbled up and it's all sitting on top of one another, and if I drag this down here, everything disappears, and it's just kind of difficult to figure out how to put all this together so you actually get a good poster. Thankfully, Photoshop has made it extremely simple to rearrange and move the different layers back and forth. So, for example, my logos should always be at the very top, and that's where I have them. So instead of being behind the lightning or behind the skyline, we can just drag these to the very top of the layers palette. From here, and actually in your project, it has your title separate from your logo, so I'm going to drag that out of my folder here and just have my title separate. So now you can see I can turn off my logos and I can turn off my title. Alright, so at this point, the big thing is you want to get that effect of this stormy, dark city in the background. So first thing we're going to do here is I'm actually going to take my title and hide it for the time being so I can concentrate on how all of this looks. So to get the effect we're looking for, you really need the storm on bottom, like I have here. So if it's anywhere else, you need to move this to just above your, to actually behind your brick file. And you can see it sits in there quite nicely. And make sure to drag it up and make sure it, that no white behind your image is showing. Next, you need to work with your lightning tool, so your lightning part. So I'm going to come in here and just kind of reorganize this. And now I'm going to bring in my skyline. Now, again, your skyline and your lightning should still both be behind the bricks because you really want to try to create a successful illusion here. And actually, it looks like your lightning needs to sit behind your skyline. That makes sense. And then we're going to bring this over here, and we're actually going to mirror this particular object. So a real easy way to do that, if you haven't done it already, is just to drag it. And what I usually do is I shrink it down so it's easier to work with, and then you can see I can just shift it the other way. Alright, so again, let's move this way. You can see I've actually created a little bit of a reverse there, and we're just going to make this a little bit bigger and make sure it sits nicely in my palette. So now I can come in here and move my lightning to where it's a little bit more appropriate. Move my skyline up and resize it just a bit. Alright. So in your project, by the time you hit this point, you should have already been manipulating the contrast and the darkness and the different color ranges of all these files. So yours should be blended a little bit nicer. Just to show you an example of what that looks like, I'm going to click my skyline, go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast. Here I'm going to up the contrast, bring down the brightness, make it really kind of dark and stormy so it contrasts really nice there. And then on my lightning, I'm going to come in and adjust. Actually, I'm going to adjust the storm layer first, which if it is, again, if it's a smart object, make sure you rasterize that. And you go to Image, Adjustments. We're going to go with color balance on this one. And when you work with color balance, you can see I can add more red. I can add more magenta, take away some green, make it more yellow. And I'm just playing with this and working with what I think probably looks best. After I've done that for the storm, I'm going to come in here and do the same thing for the lightning. And this time I'm going to use hue and saturation. So again, you can see how it's changing to be more of a purplish color and then maybe more of a green. We're going to try to get this pretty close to our orange over here. And probably back off that saturation just a little bit and play with that lightness. Now, I don't expect it to be a perfect blend, but if you can, try to get it close. So to adjust this more, we'll bring back the color balance panel and add some more red, and just work with it until you're fairly satisfied with the result. Again, I'm not looking for perfection, but I do want to see you manipulate it past the original image. Alright, so we've got everything nice and sitting back here. We're going to just flip back on the title, and we're actually going to move this title up just a little bit, or down just a little bit, excuse me. So to do that, just make sure you have your title selected, and you can just drag down. We're going to drag down to, let's see, I'm going to bring it and kind of place it towards the bottom, but not all the way on the bricks. And there you have it. Now this should be fairly close to your final product. Make sure that you've gone through, you've edited all the colors correctly, you've set your guides correctly, and you've got everything set up. Now to export this in Photoshop, it's going to be very similar to Illustrator. Just go to File and Save As. Here, once the dialog opens up, you can come in here and save this as a JPEG. You can do Aftermath. Just make sure to put your name in here. So for me, it'd be Ferris-aftermath.jpg. Click OK, and you have saved a JPEG copy. Now, just to make sure you don't lose any work in case the JPEG doesn't upload to Moodle correctly, be sure to save your PSD file, which I've done here, and you should be good to go. Alright, so once you complete this project, be sure to upload it to Moodle before the end of the week. Again, all your projects are due Saturday at midnight. Also, don't forget about your forums, and contact me if you have any struggles or difficulties working with this project. Now, since we are changing software, some of you will have to download the Photoshop software just like we did with the Adobe Illustrator. If you run into any problems with that, again, just contact me. I'm available at any time to help. Thank you so much, and looking forward to some great work.